Some yellow cards, a couple issued to both clubs. But other than that, a back and forth championship final so far, as we are just 1 minute into this second half of this championship final. If it stays at 0-0, or even if both teams score 1-1, as Croatia has a chance in the box now. Ball back in, shot, scores! Oscar Cordon! This game is over from Warrior Field in Waterloo, Ontario, the home of the University of Waterloo Warriors. The final whistle has been blown, and Toronto, Croatia are your 2015 Canadian Soccer League First Division champions.
Turned over though, another chance. Whiteman, the delivery, and it's a cracking strike from the Vaughan striker, and he equalizes here in the 39th minute. The leading scorer, Jarek Whiteman, adds to his tally, and that's number 18, and equalizes this match. It's 1-1. Amato, up, can Whiteman counter? He can. Whiteman, he wins the ball. He's on a breakaway here. The strike! Into the corner it goes, and the Azzurri's leading scorer gets the equalizer once again, and it's all tied up 2-2 in the 57th minute. Jarek Whiteman with number 19 on the season and his second of the match. The Chiara now with the delivery, back post, the header back in. The Azzurri with the chance. Into the box and in the back of the net! And it's number 3 for Jarek Whiteman. The hat-trick converted, 3-2 in the 60th minute.
You're watching and listening to Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk, Footy Edition with Nicholas Fiore.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 34 of Mamma Mia! This is Fire Talk, Footy Edition. Number 1, the inaugural guest of Footy Edition is none else than KRISTIAN Jack, professional soccer analyst, also on Sirius XMFC, talking all soccer, and I'm sure he's watching the Champions League now, going on in the round of 16. But KRISTIAN, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure, Nicholas. How are you?
Good. You know, during these COVID times, you know, we're anticipating the MLS start, announced today, actually, that the start's going to be coming soon in the middle of April. So we're just getting all going. How are you and the family? All safe during these times?
Yes, thank you. We're all good. Looking forward to MLS returning as well, April 17th. And as you said, lots of other footy/soccer on the go. It seems like there's a big game every day right now, which is always fun.
I know, and obviously, you know, you're from Birmingham, England, and they don't call it soccer over there. They call it football, right? So I thought, you know what? I can't call mine Soccer Edition. It's got to be Footy Edition because it's the only way, right? In my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I'm not too fussed about it. But whatever, footy, soccer, football. Hey, as long as you're talking about the game, you're good with me.
Exactly. I know some people from Europe, you say soccer, they don't even know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's what we call it here. And my thing's all about you know, you doing your job. Obviously, we'll get to you being with you know, an analyst on TSN and with you know, doing a lot of TFC games in MLS with Montreal and Vancouver as well, focusing a lot on the Canadian side of things in the footy genre. But, you know, I want to talk about yourself first because you talk about all these players and all these people all the time. So my show's about, you know, a little bit at the beginning anyways of each episode to talk to whichever guests I have and what they're all about. And obviously what you're all about, KRISTIAN, is soccer. It's footy. Born in Birmingham, England, though, you moved to Canada at a young age. Talk about, you know, how you migrated, you and your family, to Canada. Was there any other places back then where maybe the States, maybe somewhere else in Europe, or was Canada, you know, the option for yourselves?
Yeah, it really was, Nicholas, only Canada at that time. We loved it where we were in England, but we'd spent a lot of time in Canada already. We had some friends here, and I spent a lot of time in the United States as well, actually in Atlanta at CNN, and I loved it, but I didn't really want to move to the States. It was a bigger move than it was, I think, culturally than it was to Canada. Canada's still quite British in the terms of the more of an international flavor than the United States. So at the time certainly was in some of the areas I'd been to anyway. So yeah, Canada was kind of like the next destination for us, and my family came before me, and then I came a little bit after that. But yeah, it was a big move, a large one, obviously a career defining one, and a life defining one as well, but one that, is never easy when you first go through it. But you have to have faith and belief throughout the whole process. It's the right thing for you, and it was, and it still is to this day.
Absolutely. And you came to Canada obviously knowing footy, knowing soccer a lot. You said you started at CNN. You had other gigs and other sports opportunities as well. But how did you were you always into the game? Were you always from a young age saying, I want to do what I want to do, a reporter, an analyst, a writer, just a broadcaster in itself?
Yeah, mainly writing, really, Nicholas. I was a journalist in England as a journalism degree, and I love to write in English classes at school. I love writing and love sports. So it's like, if you can combine that, then if you can combine a love for passion for what you do, in sports, then every credit. You're doing your fantastic show now. You're doing something similar, and there's a bit more opportunities, I suppose, for youngsters now out there to do that with their own platforms and the ability to really create their own names for themselves. Like, you terrific job that you're doing. Back then, it wasn't really so many opportunities, but I just knew that I wanted to be able to do it. So I did what I could to try and cover sports at a young age and just get opportunities to work with people and learn and supervise, and not supervise, I'd let them supervise me, and just kind of just watch on and really get just get into the nuts and bolts of the industry, really, and follow it. So whether it was football or whether it was a different sport, it really, I grew up covering lots of things, rugby and cricket, and a big racing guy. So there's lots of different things that, to be honest, that I really enjoyed. And I suppose football or soccer, whatever your preference, really hit me when in 2007, Sports World at the Score became the Footy Show, and that's really when we became more focused on the sport itself. Prior to that, I was doing a lot of sports, and North American sports as well. My journey was covering other things. I've covered hockey and CFL and NFL and baseball is a passion of mine. So there's lots of sports there that I covered, and in the end, it just happened to be at a time of real growth on the sport in this country, and the birth of Toronto FC and other things. And I think we're still kind of seeing the growth of that. I don't think it's dying down quite yet.
No, absolutely not. Talk about, your where you are today. Obviously, you were with TSN, and of course Bell Media made some decisions a few months ago. But for yourself, your whole broadcasting journey, talk about how you became, where you started and how you became so successful in and basically a trusting factor in saying KRISTIan Jack is the guy to get the knowledge from, especially in Canadian soccer.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. I think for me, it was obviously just trying to get the opportunities. And, I produced the Footy Show, and then I got some opportunities on camera a couple of times. It really found me. I didn't go seeking it. As I said, I wasn't a broadcaster initially. I had done some media studies training, but not, like I said, I was a writer. So television kind of found me, and then I was quite comfortable. I wasn't nervous or anything. And then you just kind of put the work ethic and develop those kind of attributes. I'm pretty quiet, laid back person off air. So it's like I kind of took those skills where I can really focus and concentrate on listening and watching people, sports, asking the right questions, and using those kind of skills, much like yourself. When you do these kind of shows, you spend a lot of time talking, but when you bring other people on, you spend a lot of time listening because you want to know what they have to say, and you learn from them and respond to those questions and answers. So, I found myself doing that a lot in my industry. You ask the right questions, you get the right answers, and then if you can really develop those answers and convey them to the public and the audience afterwards, then they understand that this is somebody that is going to the right places, putting the work in, really watching the games and asking the questions to the right people to deliver that kind of inside knowledge a little bit. So hopefully people respected that, and many people did. Some people didn't, and that's okay.
Hey, everyone has their own opinions, right? Now, yeah. Everyone's gonna have an opinion about everything. You can't please everyone, right?
No, and that's okay. Every credit to them. That's totally fine.
Hey, constructive criticism sometimes can be good criticism, and you got to just plug away and keep on pushing, right? That's for sure. Anyways, your career overall, really 13 years for the most part, and it led you to TSN. You're with TSN for, I believe, just over 7 years, just under 8 years or so. And you covered a lot of sports there, but how at home did you feel at TSN? Obviously, you're with Luke Wildman, Stephen Caldwell for the latter half, or for quite a bit, I would say, of the coverages. But how at home did you feel, and how comfortable did you feel working at TSN?
Yeah, really comfortable. I mean, I think ultimately it's a small team. TSN's a big company, and there's a lot of departments there: Sports Center, hockey, CFL, and there's some terrific people there. And that's what makes the company so wonderful, is the people, and that's what you remember. You create lifelong friends. And working with a small team on soccer, and it really was a small team, you get friends for life with that kind of thing, as I said. And then Stevie and Luke are people that were, and still are to this day, people that I treasure those relationships. And you can see, I think, from people who watched it, certainly people who've commented, that the chemistry was real, that we got along on the camera because we got along off camera. And I was doing a show recently, and someone said, what was some of your biggest highlights? And they were talking about interviews with Rooney or Schweinsteiger or David Villa or Kaká or Thierry Henry, and I was like, quite honestly, like the moments that stand out the best, they're like when you do the big tournaments and you're with these guys 14 15 hours a day, and you're watching these games and you're doing triple headers and sometimes 4 games a day from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m, and you're preparing together and you're just leaning on each other and you're trusting each other and you're watching these moments, and that's the best part of it, because you're a part of a team, and the greatest compliment that we get is when we have people like Stevie on, or Jason used to do it, and Julian de Guzman and other players that would come in and sit with us. They would say that it's like preparing for a match. It's tiring, it's hard. You got to really put the work in, all the training that you put in, and that was a real compliment to me, because for me it truly high performance, and you've got to deliver on a daily basis, and be careful, a little bit of what you're saying, because obviously, every word is being judged, but at the same time, you put your work in, you do the work, you do the due diligence and the hours and hours of preparation to do it and go up there to perform, and you just hope that you can deliver it. And most of the time, I think I did.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was going to talk about some guests that you spoke to. I mean, pregame, postgame, while you guys were just doing coverages of stuff, but like the Kaká and obviously Sebastian Jovinko right behind me, and so many of the others. But I had if you know or don't know, I had Matt Devlin on, the Raptors play-by-play announcer, on the episode just before this one, and he said the same thing about Jack Armstrong and Leo Rutland, his colleagues, right? Just like you, Luke Wildman, and Stephen Caldwell, they had a relationship outside of the studio, outside of TSN or Sportsnet, and it was friendship and families and so on and so forth. How important do you think that is? I mean, I've worked with a colleague now calling hockey, junior hockey here, with Brampton and then with Oakville for 6 years overall. And we almost have that same thing too. We just look at each other, or sometimes don't look at each other, and we know exactly when to come in and when to chime in and when to say something. Was that, relationship outside of the studio make it so much easier inside of it?
It definitely makes it a lot easier inside it. Yes. You can, I'm not saying that you have to have those relationships away from the camera for it to be developing on it, but it can certainly help. And of course, time comes with experience as well, and the development there. And as you said with your colleague, you almost end up finishing each other's sentences. It's so, and I think it's special because you can bounce off each other a lot, and you can really feel like where that person's going. And a lot of times you look to that colleague, or you look, particularly with me and Stevie, when we're balancing and bouncing things off each other, they're reading your mind and you're reading theirs, and it's almost like passing a verbal ball. It's like exactly what to kind of pass to play to them. And I think that again comes down to respect for each other and not stepping on each other's toes. And understanding that there is a way that you need to listen to what they have to say and respond to it. You have to remember that for me, I think I had a role to deliver the news and deliver what my feelings were. And the longer that in the industry I was, I found more and more people, for whatever it's worth, respected what I had to say. But I never played the game professionally. I sit next to people that did, and they can offer things and insights that I never could do that. And I was always very aware of that, and learned a ton from those people, and kind of tried to make them people feel comfortable about their own wheelhouse and putting them inside the game where I could never go.
Absolutely. I want to touch upon, obviously, TSN a little bit even further. Obviously, whatever you can say or allowed to say, of course, without stepping on anyone's toes. Obviously, you had to leave the company because the company was going, I'm sure, as they would say, in different directions, and Bell Media did their cuts. You're not the only one. There's a lot of others. Natasha Stanishevsky and Brent Wallace, who I watch, during hockey games, Leafs and Sens games, right, as well. As mentioned, whatever you can say about it, were you a little shocked or stunned that the decision was made to unfortunately move on from yourself, or how did that all come to fruition? Whatever you're allowed to say, of course.
Yeah, I can't really say too much, really, other than the fact that obviously I just had a fantastic time there, and I expected it to continue. They've still got a lot of soccer coverage there as well, and we'll see where it goes and what direction it goes, and whether it's a return at a part-time basis for me, or whether it's other people coming back. I don't know, but it's obviously they've still got chairs to fill and different things to do, and I just look back with great pride, really, in terms of the opportunities that they gave me to travel around the world and do different things with the teams and things like that. So I think the broadcast industry, it is a precarious one. Certainly in media. So you never, I as I said, I was at 10 years at the Score and made and treasured great friendships, and so many people be moved on during that time, and it was, it's just part of the industry. So you never feel like it couldn't be you.
For yourself, like you said, you were at the Score, right? Did you know Tim and Sid or Cabby or any of these guys well? Did you work alongside them at any time?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I worked really closely with all of them. I mean, obviously Cabby had his own department, did his own thing, but I mean, you knew everybody who worked at the Score. It was small, and it was just a fantastic environment. Tim and Sid, I worked on their shows. I worked with them, and good friends to this day. So yeah, in fact, I was texting Sid today. He made his debut on the breakfast television. So just unbelievable guys. And I think I wrote a little post on social media last week about it on Twitter, about the fact that how special what their relationship was. And again, we talked quite a lot on the show already, haven't we, about chemistry, and that chemistry that they had was just organically formed so fast and so real. It's just to have two guys like that always look out for each other and not have one stomp on the other as well was special for me. But yeah, the Score was a special place. It's like a university, really, in terms of how much fun we had, and you were going up against the two big giants in the media industry, and you couldn't compete with the money and the finances that they had. But it certainly churned out some wonderful talent across North America, and pleasure to see so many of them performing and doing so well across the United States and Canada. A lot of my friends and colleagues right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I was watching Tim and Sid since so long ago, and looking up at them. I mean, Sid graduated from Humber. I graduated in the same exact program from him, and I know I won't be watching too much BT, but my mom is excited. She already watched the first one this morning. But it was the Score like a stepping stone, kind of like a place where yourself and so many of these other guys that we mentioned, of course, and so many more kind of like got their start and then like propelled them to a higher or next level of their career?
Well, no doubt. Obviously the past, you never know what's going to happen, but the future has obviously shown that since obviously 2013 when it was bought by Rogers. And going back, when you're there, you don't think of that. It was never like, oh, we're in the third division, we want to move up to the top division, will someone come and find us? You just work so hard collectively, and you just know what you're doing is fun. And it's funny, I've done a few of these shows over the last couple of weeks, and the Score comes up so much because I like to talk to young people and help them out as well. And I find that it's almost like the generation that were watching us at the Score, when they were watching us, didn't necessarily have the connectivity to us like they do now. So now you're almost reliving it again. There's so many people who were so young at the time that loved the Score, but didn't have social media at the time to say how much they had a great time. And same with the Footy Show, what we used to do. And I was talking to a student this week. He's 19 years old, and he was watching the Footy Show when he was like 8. Wow. And it's like he's like, I grew up watching you guys, and yeah, okay, one, it makes me feel old, but two, you understand that like these people don't have connections to you then. They can't send you messages on Instagram or wherever you want to say and say thanks a lot and do a great job. So it's, honestly, it just Sid, Tim, so many of us, we're just really thankful that so many people were able to enjoy it and connect to the youth of people who love sports in this great country.
Absolutely. I want to touch upon, some of the players and some of the big names that you have, spoke to and interviewed. Obviously, you mentioned it a little bit, but my question along those lines would be, did you ever think, or in your wildest dreams, that you were going to be talking and speaking to like a Sebastian Jovinko, a Kaká, a Thierry Henry, and just so many of these guys, Bastian Schweinsteiger? Like, did you ever have that mindset? Wow, like I could be talking to some pretty big names in the soccer and the football world.
Not really. No, I suppose I don't get intimidated by it. I suppose is one thing. When you get to the point where you talk to these people, you're under. I just get excited. Almost like a fan, really, because I want to learn more from them. And it's a personal project for me that when I know I'm going to get to interview these guys, it's like, okay, you almost go, if you've got time, you almost go into the mold of a student where you start preparing for an exam, and you really start cramming, and you start looking at every interview that they've done in the past, particularly the big ones, like, as you mentioned, Schweinsteiger, Rooney, Thierry Henry, Zlatan. What can you do differently? How can you make this different? You don't want to go into these interviews and then have them say, "Oh yeah, I've been asked that many times. Yeah, well, I've said that lots of times." It's like heart's just sinking, So it's like, how do you make it different and unique and fun? And particularly with people that I've admired throughout my career, like a Schweinsteiger was my favorite, because I knew that I could tap into his mind if I asked the right questions and get the right answers about things that fascinate me about high level performance, about what it was like to win in Bayern Munich and have the culture of winning every day and the pressure that it came with, and what it was like in 2014 at the World Cup to go on and lift the trophy, and how he was defined by his losses, and what it was like in 2010 and missing a Champions League final penalty, and all of those things. And tapping into the mind, if you ask the right questions, to me, it's really fascinating. And sometimes you know the answers because you've read them in a book or something, but you want them to say it on camera and then really generate that kind of discussion for fans, because at the end of the day, you're there. Of course, you're there to learn and to enjoy the camaraderie that comes with it, but you're there to try and produce content. You're there to try and produce an ability for the fans to go, "Oh, I love that guy." Not me, but the person you're interviewing. So that's what you want. You want to shine them in a good light, and you want it to be, as I always say, you want to entertain, and you want to inform, and you want to educate, right? That's the things. And I think that's what I tried to do.
Absolutely. And you just didn't focus on, MLS and TFC while your time at TSN, of course, specifically, you've called and have analyzed World Cup games, Copa America, Gold Cup, European Championships, the qualifiers, and also, tons of professional leagues as well, La Liga, EPL, Serie A. What was there any favorite moment or favorite game over all these years? And I guess secondly, how awesome was it to not just call, MLS, local Toronto FC action, but worldwide world soccer?
Yeah, it's great. I think, for me, what I liked at TSM, what we did was that there were some weeks, Nicholas, where we would have Champions League Tuesdays, Champions League Wednesdays, Europa League Thursdays, Premier League Saturday mornings, MLS Saturdays, Premier League Sundays, MLS Sundays. And for me, it was exhausting, but fun. And I think that what I liked about it the most is that if we're doing a Manchester United Liverpool game at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning, and we're doing a TFC Columbus game at 3:00 Sunday afternoon, that we would try and deliver it with the same amount of quality. The MLS would deserve that kind of quality, and we wouldn't talk down about it. Yeah, the talent on the field isn't as good, but we wouldn't necessarily talk about that. It's everything needs to be evaluated in its own inside its own standards. So that's what I like doing the most. I mean, to answer your question, there's nothing better than working on a World Cup. That's the best for me. Working on World Cups, women's and men. 2015 Women's World Cup in this great country was tremendous to go up and down the country and cover Canada and cover all the tournaments and all the qualification games, and then obviously the knockout games as well and the group stages. So that was great. But World Cups are special, and I suppose for TFC, the playoff runs are great. You get to go to New York and cover those, and for me, is one of the highlights was to go to Mexico City and go to the Estadio Azteca in the 2018 CONCACAF Champions League semifinal. Subsequently, again 2 weeks later, going to Guadalajara for the final. But the semifinal in the pouring rain of the Estadio Azteca, when it wasn't supposed to rain, I didn't have a coat, I only had a jacket. my phone battery was dying, and
Oh.
my phone was old, and and then TFC and the crowd's going crazy, and the band's playing like nonstop, and we've got carrier bags over our heads to try and stay dry, and you do the game and the big high, and TFC win and get through, and you do all the interviews, and then you do the hits, then you go to the mix zone, do more interviews, and you pack up. Then you have to go back to the hotel and get your bag because you're not in the same room anymore because a bunch of people came in from different places to take your hotel room, and you have to go and to a different hotel right near the airport, and you eventually drowned wet. You change your shoes and your socks, and you get into the hotel, and it's like 3:30 in the morning, and you've got like 4 hours sleep to your flight, and it's just all the stories. It's all a journey, right? It's all experience, and it was fun. It's I never look back at something and say, oh, that was terrible, because
I was going to say, I don't think you would want it any other way, would you?
No, it's all positive. It's all fun, and at the time, sometimes you look back and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this when I look back, and you do. And those moments in Mexico where we were staying in the same hotel as TFC because we weren't allowed to leave. We were getting like police escorts, and I was taking like one of the 10 vehicles that they were taking to the stadium with some of the players and some of the staff, and then you get to the stadium and you've got the Mexican fans throwing things at the bus. And it's like I wasn't even part of the team. I was just there because as a delegate, you had to be part of their movement with the police escorts. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. What is your level of viewing of the Serie A? Have you been watching Serie A football lately?
I do watch Serie A. I don't watch a ton because I try, but I obviously there's lots of other things I've been covering as well. And I'm a Premier League broadcaster for Sirius XM in the States. So if there's Premier League games going on at the same time, it's sometimes difficult. But yeah, it's been great. I think it's been a bounce back year for them. It's an important year because I don't know who your team is, but when Milan are playing well in the Serie A, I think Serie A is better for that. So the way that they've responded, Conte's got Inter flying right now.
That's my team.
That's your team.
Inter Milan. Oh yeah.
There you go. So Conte's got them purring, and Lukaku looks good, and he's finally got Eriksen buried in there.
Where is it? I got them right here.
Oh, there you go.
Right on the chain, Inter Milan logo right there.
There you go. Good for you. Is that family connection or?
Oh yeah, right straight from Italy. Right from Italy. My great uncle brought it years ago, and I've been an Inter fan since. But don't tell anyone because no one else in my family is an Inter fan. I'm straight Inter Milan, straight all myself. That's why I wanted to ask you just quickly because I want to touch upon obviously some more local stuff. Do you think it's Conte and Inter's year?
Yeah, I do. I do think it's their year. Yeah, I actually thought that we were going to be here before. I thought he would maybe not us take this long, but last year kind of went awry, and the Champions League, they've made some decisions. I think sometimes they keep, they're letting too many late goals. The last couple of seasons in Champions League group games have just been really costly. But yeah, I think this is it. And I'm happy because Lukaku needs the credit he deserves. He doesn't get it a lot, mainly because the English media kind of dictate a bit of an incorrect storyline around him because they just remember what he was like in England. But I think it's a good year for them. Yeah, I think they will. And Juve's decline certainly helps a little bit. But as I said to my buddy who texted me this week when they got beat by Porto, no one feels sorry for Juventus fans.
That's for sure. I mean, with Cristiano Ronaldo there, I mean, for me personally, Chris, and I feel bad for Andrea Pirlo. I mean, how much of it is his fault, if any blame? Does his name get dragged in the mud as a coach? Was he too early to take on a big club like Juventus? I'm hearing all these questions and all these rumblings. And really, I mean, even like yourself, no one really has the answer to that yet because it's just too early for Andrea Pirlo. But it looks like it could be Inter's year, and fingers are crossed because I need it and I want it to be Inter's year. That's for sure. But who knows with that? You touched upon Sirius XM and then FC, the show that you do in the States. You talk about Premier League, Champions League as well, I believe, a little bit. Talk about that. You've been, I think, doing that for about 6 years now, if I'm not mistaken, or around that time frame. How did that connection get made? And obviously it's from the States, so you're probably on the phone or on Zoom or something called in, but how was that experience like?
Yeah, I host it from my house. So we have a system here where I can host it from here now. I used to host it before the pandemic at the Sirius XMFC studios in Toronto, actually right by Lamport Stadium downtown. But yeah, I do it all from here now, and I host a couple of shows a week there. Champions League live during the group stages. My broadcast partner and I, Yanis Mahalik, we have an absolute blast. It's a fun show. Imagine 8 Champions League games going on in the same day, and you're watching these games as they happen, and the guys driving, and you're driving around on the radio. You don't know what's going on, and we're describing the action as it goes in. So it's fun. And then we have a show on a Monday night, Premier League final show. It's a 3-hour English Premier League wrap-up show where we play a lot of sound from a lot of the other managers in the game and play a sound and have fun segments and different things. So I just felt it was a really important show to pitch to them a while ago. I've been like a part-time host and fill-in host every now and again, but I pitched this show a number of years ago, and I felt it was important that they did that. And it's been great. I really enjoy it. It's a fun small family there as well. It's unfortunately that the channel isn't available in Canada. That's out of my hands, but yeah, in the States they get good listeners and they've got good guys working on that channel.
Absolutely. Let's talk about TFC a little bit. I mean, what everyone wants to know, what all of my main listeners we're thinking about, because the season's coming up. Obviously, there was Josie Altidore transfer rumors, which I personally really didn't believe anyways. Ayo Akinola, fellow Brampton native, his potential. New coach Chris Armas, he's in charge, taking over Greg Vanney, who went to LA Galaxy, fitting for himself. And TFC's goals this season. Let's talk about the big guns. Josie, Bradley. They have such a good core still that's really been there since this championship run. I mean, if I'm completely honest, with Osorio and Delgado and so many more. What are the expectations for Toronto FC this season from what you've been reading, analyzing, and everything that you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think internally and externally, they're quite consistent. You mentioned the continuity there. It's quite remarkable. And I think when you analyze the team up against some of the other teams in MLS, that's their major strength. That's their major pillar, is the fact that they have been together for so long, and may well be their major weakness because they are getting older and the team is aging and they've got a lot of experience, but they've also got a lot of veteran legs there as well. So they haven't sprinkled that in as time of taping here. They haven't signed any players. They've re-signed a few players back and they've got some draft picks, but they haven't signed a player, and they've lost Piatti. So they are at the moment not improved on last year's team that obviously didn't win a playoff game last year. Again, they face the challenges of playing away from home, which is going to be tough going to Florida to play games. It's never easy to play away in MLS, and they've got to play every game away, no matter what you think it is. It's not a home game. So I think there's going to be some real challenges for the team. They've got to move into a different style, and Chris Armas, as you mentioned, will bring a Red Bull way in, and I know they've been trying to play a fast tempo and bring a different style to training, and you got to get these players to buy in. Now, we know about these players, and we know they've won for a reason because of their ability to buy in and do what they think is right to win matches. So I think if you're a TFC fan, that will be what you hold your hat on, Nicholas, is that these guys, as you said, have been around together for a long time, know how to perform when the lights are the brightest and the big games happen at the end of the season. But as for the regular season, I think that it could be a bit of a bit of an up and down year for them.
Was there any truth to the Josie Altidore rumors? I mean, he got, I guess, as in hockey terms, you'd say a healthy scratch against the, pick up a little bit of a knock, I should say, but in the USA international game back in the States, and then there was a big transfer rumor that their manager was saying something about it. Was there really any factual truth to it all?
Well, I'll just say this. If Greg Berhalter is coming out and saying that, we're holding Josie out because there could be potential transfers, then I would tell you it's true. At the end of the day, Greg Berhalter is a great guy, and he's not going to make up stories. So there's obviously things there that have been going on. There's obviously things that we're moving on in terms of storylines and developments and, things that were going on behind the scenes. But as of today and taping, where are we, March 10th, then, yeah, Josie Altidore is still a Toronto FC player. So I think there was obviously some discussions about whether he could be moved on or whether it was time to move on, and a little bit of friction here and there. But as of right now, it looks like he's going to be sticking around for sure.
I know TFC fans don't want him to go. We already lost my fellow Italian stallion behind me here. So with funny story with actually Jovinko, I was at Humber College when he first landed in Toronto. and I had a class. As soon as the class finished, I said, too bad. Didn't have the car. I took 3 buses from Humber College to Pearson Airport. I met him, and I have a selfie going like this with him, and it was just an amazing story.
Good for you.
You know, speaking of Seba, obviously you've spoken a lot with him. Do you think TFC had a minor decline overall when Jovinko left?
Well, I mean, I think, it was a difficult one for them because they obviously wanted him to stay, but they weren't sure about the finances. I don't know how you replace Sebastian Jovinko. He is obviously one of the greatest players in Major League Soccer history. He is undoubtedly the greatest player in Toronto FC history. And he brought so much to the team. He brought that winning mentality, he brought swagger, he brought moments of stepping up in big games. He had a little bit of everything. He obviously loved the city as well, and loved it, still does. Loved representing the Reds, and really that's what you want in a designated player. He had the dedication and the passion. So that was always difficult. Now, obviously, Alejandro Pazuelo came in, took his number, and delivered right away with the phenomenal debut against New York City FC. But he's a different kind of player. Pazuelo is a bit more of a playmaker. He's got a bit more of a cerebral brain, and he slows the game down to the right way, in ability to read the game, and the pictures of his mind are outstanding, and how he views the game and the reference points he has and his connections with teammates. But Jovinko was, in a sporting sense, a stone cold killer. That's what he was. He just wanted to step on the throat of the opponent and destroy them. Pozuelo doesn't necessarily do that. But so I think, yes, there was a little bit of a decline, no question about it, in terms of the ability to score goals from the front. But I think it's inevitable. As I said, he's an irreplaceable player at the level that he had in Toronto.
And trying to, I guess, replace someone up front is Ayo Akinola. Battling through an injury at such a young age so far. Doesn't know if he's going to play for Canada, US. Who is it going to be? We don't know. That decision is going to be, I'm sure, big and all over social media whenever that is decided. But what do you expect from Akinola? What potential do you think personally the kid has?
Well, I think he's got to play games. I think Ayo Akinola hasn't got anywhere near amount as anywhere near amount of first team professional minutes yet for me to be able to make a complete judgment on what he can become. Now, I know he's got aspirations of wanting to play in Europe, and he could well do that. But I think 2021 is an enormous year for that. Obviously he has the potential to move away from Toronto FC at the end of the year because of his contract. So we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But he's got to get healthy. And then when he's got healthy, he's got to have opportunities, and he's got to be able to show that he can play, not necessarily as a number 9 either. That if a number 9 comes in, or if Altidore plays, can he play with him? Can he play as a winger off the left or off the right and use his pace and power? He's growing into that. I think he's growing up a lot. The mature side of him came out last year that I didn't think we saw prior to that. So. And with that gone is the self-entitlement that sometimes young players can have, an understanding that you need to get better and learn from the other players. And he certainly had a better understanding when I would interview him of opponents' weaknesses and how to take and exploit that. And he certainly read the game and opportunities that came his way. So that's no coincidence for me that he had a breakout year, because he was able to start to understand the game a little bit more. So if he can continue that path of development, then I think it should be an exciting year. But as I said, he's got to get healthy first, and best wishes to him, and hopefully he gets better soon.
Absolutely. And I guess really the final thing about TFC, in my opinion, would be a DP, a designated player. Obviously you can't give away too much, but you are an insider, you're an analyst, you might know something that we all don't know. Is there any country that, TFC has narrowed down to bringing a designated player in? Because I think, you would agree with me. They need one, and they need an impactful one, and they need one that is going to make a difference and be helpful to this squad.
Yeah, all of that. Everything you said is what they're talking about in the front office. They want impact. They want somebody who can make a difference. It's clear that they want somebody who I think can be pretty quickly and moving forward. You can't really bring somebody in that's going to take a number of months or even a year to bed in. Yeah. This is a team that's built to win now. So yeah, everything that you've read is that's out there. Most of it is true. They were obviously the South American striker that that they'd like to get in would be important for them. They haven't got over the line yet, and there's been problems with that. So we'll just have to wait and see whether they're going to do that. But they know that they've got money to spend. They know that they need to get a player in to make a difference, and I think they'll hopefully want to do that before the MLS season starts. But as we said, right now they're in a little bit of a mini crisis as well with the COVID outbreak within the squad and trying to figure out all of that as well. And when you're selling Canada right now as an MLS home to players, as Mark DeSantos in Vancouver has spoken about recently to me privately and then publicly, that it's not easy because, players want to know where you're playing. Well, I'm playing in Canada. Okay, where my family going to live? Where are we going to be based? Are we based in Toronto? Okay, so when my family come, do we leave them there and I leave and go to Florida for 3 to 4 months? That's not cool. So it's, look, it's not an easy time for anybody, is it? Let's be honest. But that's, I think, a massive challenge right now as well in terms of recruitment.
Hey, if the Toronto Raptors can do it, Toronto FC can do it. They can move and they can be impactful. And they've had a slow start, the Raptors, but now they're coming into their own. They're getting better. And TFC obviously will want to start on the front foot. Speaking of that, in your personal opinion, where do you think TFC finishes, in the regular season? Do you have 4th to the 8th? Are they in a playoff spot? What is your projection?
I don't know, really. It's going to be tough. It's difficult to do predictions so early in the preseason. Yeah. And I know it's, another month or so before the season starts to see who comes in. And I think, look, internally, they believe they are a top-class team in the East. And I think externally, people in MLS still believe that as well. So I think for their own expectations, they want to be near the top, competing for trophies, Supporters' Shield. I just think it could be an up and down year. I think it's going to be tough. There'll be times when they'll look fine. And I think, as you said, being away from home is grueling. It's not easy for anybody. We'll have to see where they can find that consistency in the regular season, and if they make the playoffs, that's when a time when they shine the brightest, when those lights are on, and who knows by then what the kind of lifestyle we're going to have here in Canada. And maybe come October, just maybe, you never know, there might be games at BMO Field again.
Absolutely. And I mean, I was there, the Montreal crazy Benoit Giroux header, and
the best.
Oh my goodness gracious. I was there at the MLS Cup final with my sister. We were all the way up top, but the cement was shaking when we were all jumping in. And we want that again, right? TFC, fabulous. The players, they want that again. The fans want that again. As you can see, big fan base in my family as well. And I think it'll come. But, there's always challenges. Look at the Raptors. They won and, they couldn't go back to back because of challenges, right? It's challenges. But I think, Kristian, you would agree. I think TFC is such a high-end, classy organization in the MLS, and not because I'm a homer or we're in Toronto, but they've proven that they could be top-notch, and they will get back to that spot, don't you think?
Well, the players expect it. That's why they play the games. Regular seasons are fine, but at the end of the day, it's your careers are defined, and what you remember is what happens in the postseason. And they'll believe that they need to get back there. I think you bring up a good point about the organization. The ownership group's commitment financially has been unbelievable, and that looks like it's going to continue. That's not something that a lot of markets in MLS are blessed with. So fans should be thankful the ownership group continues to spend the money that they do and have the dedication to continue to want to win, even though they have done. I think it's an important time in their history, though, that as this current crop of players gets older and comes to a point where things need to move forward, that you find that sweet spot in professional sports where it is not a complete tear down and a rebuild, that you continue to rebuild on the fly while still remaining competitive. That, I think, is integral.
Absolutely. And, I just want to touch upon Soccer Canada a little bit, of course, wearing the white jersey. They've just named their under 23 squad for Olympic qualifiers. But the main men's national team head coached by John Herdman, former women's national team manager, and now obviously John taking over for several months already with the men's side. Just, I know it's vague, I know it's open, but my question to you is, what have you seen about Soccer Canada? Where they've grown, where they gradually been moving up, and do you see them, other than when they possibly host maybe the United bid with Mexico and USA, make an upcoming World Cup before that and really start being, not a powerhouse, but a competitive team that are in international tournaments to come?
Well, look, I think, we're in the middle of the pandemic right now. And we don't know who's going to be available for these games. But one thing that is clear, one thing that we've got real clarity on is that this Canada team has to get through these World Cup qualifiers that are coming up to get into what is known as the Octagon, the 8. And you get into the 8, then suddenly you've got a real chance. Now, a chance for what? Chance to make the top 3 and get in, a chance to fourth, make a playoff, or a chance to just make sure that you at least start generating that conversation. And very often the journey is almost as important as the final destination, and the journey will be massive for these players. These players need to know what it feels like to go down to these places and really feel pain and really feel suffering and know how to win and come through those difficult moments and feel the turmoil and suffer in Panama or Costa Rica or Honduras and play the United States and Mexico home and away, that massive World Cup qualifiers. So for me, that's the first bridge they absolutely have to cross. They have to get to that. They have to get through the 4, then the playoff, and then get to the Octagon. Get in that, then I think after that, we'll see. And they'll believe that there's a belief in that group. Let me tell you this, that they can make 2022. There's a tremendous amount of real squad unity right now, and they are together in this. This is not sometimes you get teams that will talk about it all the time and not really deliver, and behind the scenes there's real issues. This is real. This is genuine. They get along. They believe in John Herdman. They got a good bunch of players, real fundamental leaders like Sam Pierre in Montreal and Mazzorio in TFC, Mark Anthony Kay, just MLS-based leaders, let alone the ones that are going to come over in Atiba Hutchinson and Jonathan David, Alfonso Davies, and others that can really make a difference. Now, they lack quality defenders. They're going to have to try and find a few of them if it's going to be the difference between making it or not. But as I said, that the excitement is there, and hopefully if they can get into that 8 in the Octagon, that then non-soccer fans in this list, more importantly, even the soccer fans in this country that have not necessarily got behind the men's team in the past, can start getting behind them, because I think we've still got a lot of people to bring on board with that, because some people follow other teams in other countries in this wonderful country and say, Canada, well, I don't really support Canada as a men's team. Women's team, yeah, because they've done really well, but men's team, I never really see them play. And what have they done? We don't really have any players, and that direction that has to change. It's just completely has to change, and it is changing for those of us within the game. You and I are talking about it now, but for the casual fans, we need them to have these moments and say, Canada are playing right now, and if they top this group, they get to the World Cup. This is what we need. This is what we need. Okay, then we're in the conversation.
I know I'm Italian. We're a big Italian household, and if Italy plays Canada in Canada at BMO at the United in 2026, that would be just. I don't even know who I cheer for. I mean, I guess Canada, I guess Italy, had a half split jersey. Who the heck knows how that's going to work? But that sure will be something, right? It'll definitely
Canada. Italy will have enough people to win.
Yeah, right. I guess I got to cheer for Canada. I mean, I am wearing the jersey, right?
That's right.
Listen, finally, just on yourself, Kristen. I mean, I do appreciate you coming on, but as much as you can tell me, of course, with the last topic here, your future and your journey, I know it's going to continue. I know it's going to even flourish even more, for sure.
Thank you.
You have stuff going on, you have some plans, or as much as you can say. I know you're going to announce it on your own fruition, of course, but what's up and coming, if you can say much.
Well, not a lot at the moment. I mean, it's been obviously we're doing my serious stuff and just trying to close the book on what's going on with Bell. And, there's been loads of people reached out. It's been wonderfully heartwarming and so kind. And, I thank all those people that have been really caring and listening to me and me listening to them. And there's been some opportunities that have come my way. And, I'm just navigating through that. I just hope that I get an opportunity again to connect with people and that we can continue to talk about this game that we love. And, I don't feel like that's over for me. And I feel like there's so many people in Canada that want to continue that conversation. So, as you know, my passion for this country is there. My passion for the sport's there. So let's just hope that gets to continue to pretty soon in what is a big year and a great time right now to really fall in love with the sport in Canada.
Absolutely. Listen, Kristen, a lot of guys in your field and in any sport, and I guess the professional terminology, don't give, guys like myself a chance. I went to school for broadcasting, do a lot of hockey, but soccer, basketball, volleyball, baseball, football. I know it all. And, 25-year-old Brampton boy, just trying to move up in the ranks, started this podcast and show, and just want to get as much as, knowledge, back to me, and, as much as I can learn from influential people in multiple sports. So thought I'd reach out to you. You definitely were willing to come on. We set up a day and a time, and I do appreciate it more than you know. So thanks for coming on.
Hey, Nicholas, it's an absolute pleasure. You keep up the great work. Doing shows like this are enormous for your experience, and you got a great voice, and you've got great opportunities to continue to talk to other people and continue to commentate. You know where I am if you need my advice as well, and it's always want to help people, and I can learn from people like you as well. It's not just one way. Trust me, and you keep doing it, and we're a big hockey family as well. So when all this COVID stuff's over and you're doing a junior hockey game, I want you to let me know, and I'll come see you.
Absolutely. I appreciate that more than you know. Listen, everyone, KRISTIan Jack, professional soccer analyst, Sirius XMFC host, reporter, writer as well. This was episode number 34 of Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk, Footy Edition, numero uno. Expect more episodes coming with more professional people on the horizon from multiple sports, as well as Instagram Lives. Follow on all social media platforms. And folks, new merchandise is coming, and a website has been released. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and Mamma Mia.
Lopez turns it over, and now Cavallini with it. Cavallini finds Baker. Albanese comes out. Baker gets to it first, around the keeper, and in the back of the net. Blows the whistle, the captain, Dylan Carrero, for Woodbridge. The penalty kick. Steps up and takes it neatly so, with a great, brilliant penalty kick strike into the corner. The ref blows the whistle. Whiteman steps forward, looking, and right down the middle with the strike there, and the penalty kick in the 19th minute. Anything coming now, a chance for Jason Mills. He comes in, the shot on goal, off the woodwork again, the rebound comes out, to Mills again, shot scores! Oh my word, number 11 with the finish, and that's Brandon Mills. Oakville looking to play long instead of building up. It's going to favor them off the second ball. A chance for the Blue Devils. Can they get anything on goal? Goes back outside looking for the offside call. It's not. Now cross back in. Back door. It's a goal. And the Blue Devils are on the door first. Push back with good defensive play from North Mississauga. And they steal it and now look at the counter. Can the Panthers go? It's 4v4. Good pace. Botello plays on the far side. They stay on side. North Miss an opportunity. They come around the break with a shot. In the back of the net it goes, and North Miss have one back. Continues with a North Mississauga free kick in midfield. An opportunity here. Shot comes in the back of the net it goes. Oh my word, what a strike. Now back, kicked up in the air. One with the header. Placed down. McNamara has the opportunity, and in the back of the net it goes. Corner kicking out for Oakville. It's a dangerous one, and in the back of the net again, and it's McNamara.
That was Mamma Mia. This is Fire Talk, Footy Edition with Nicholas Fiore. Thank you for watching and listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.